So our workings with Fjord Maritime so far have been a new build feed barge that we've just completed for Cook Aquaculture, a 200-ton concrete barge that's gone up to Orkney. So that's been our collaboration to date. It went very well, and hopefully through this presentation you'll see how well that's gone and the benefits that the hybrid system could bring.
Yeah.
So Torstein, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about the history of Fjord Maritime?
Sure, I could. We started up in 2016. We started up in Norway. There were three founders, Vidar, Stig and Øyvind, who used their experience from the oil and gas industry to look into the possibility of a hybrid solution for barges. We saw there was an opening and the diesel consumption wasn't run as effective as it could. So we developed Fjord Hybrid, and now we have installed over 100 systems, mostly in Norway. We are very happy, together with Gael, to have delivered the first to Cook Aquaculture. And yeah, that's basically what we have done. We have developed a system that optimizes the generators so you produce the power most efficiently. Yeah.
So Torstein, you've mentioned there that you've got over 100 systems out there in Norway already, and now of course one in Scotland.
Yeah.
So you're one of the most mature, I suppose, hybrid systems in the aquaculture industry.
Yeah.
Can you give us an example of the sort of savings you can make by using this sort of hybrid system?
Yes. Well, what the first savings you can look on is the fuel reduction. You're reducing your fuel consumption with approximately 50 to 55%. That fuel reduction also gives you a great value with the greenhouse gases, of course. So in average, a barge will reduce the greenhouse gases with approximately 165 tons CO2. That's approximately 80-90 cars off the roads each year. And that's a high value for it. What we have also done is that we are gathering quite a lot of data from all our sites. So we're gathering 2 to 3 million data points. We're doing the data into knowledge and showing it as our customer wants. We show them how long have they been on battery, how long has the generator run. But the total reduction is mostly, of course, the fuel. It's the greenhouse gases. But the most important thing, Stephen, is actually securing the power supplies to the barge. Yeah.
So you've constantly got that power there to be able to feed the fish, so you don't have any lost feeding days.
Yeah, and that's important because, of course, all the fish farmers says that the fish is the most important, and I agree. But you need to have stable and good power to produce the fish most cost efficient, and that's also the part here. You have to have savings to install a hybrid solution, and the Fjord Hybrid does that.
Yeah. So there's quite a few different hybrid methodologies out there, different companies using different ways of putting a hybrid system in a barge.
Definitely.
How does your system work?
Well, what we do is that the most of our installation has been retrofitted. So the one we did with you guys was a new build. So that's quite easy. But when you go into the retrofitting part, you have generators that have been driven on very low amount of power, and they don't have it so good. They're not so happy, if you can put it that way. So what we then do is that we go in and we optimize the generators to go on ideal load. You always produce the maximum amount of kilowatt per liter diesel you're using. So instead of producing in a barge running on generator and only on generators, you're producing approximately 1.5 to 2 kilowatts per hour. With the optimization we do, you get 4 or more. So that's where the savings and so on comes from.
So in addition to that though, in the diesel savings, with the generators running at that optimal load, you're going to get savings in maintenance costs as well, because your generators are going to last longer. and you have less servicing to do.
Yes, because when you're putting in the hybrid, the generator won't run if it's only by feeding or it's 24 hours a day. It will go down to approximately 5 hours per day instead of 24. So your maintenance costs on the generators or other equipment that you have on the barge is extended. So that's also value with the hybrid system installed.
So you mentioned briefly there, obviously, that our collaboration together so far has been on new build barges. But most of the barges that are in the Scottish system at the moment are obviously already out there.
Yeah.
And you mentioned briefly retrofitting there.
Yeah.
How easy is it to retrofit this system to barges that are already out at sea?
Since we have delivered over 100 systems already, we have fitted our system into many different type of barges. If it's steel, concrete, it doesn't matter. And to this day, we haven't had a fleet we haven't could put in our system because it's the footprint of it. We have reduced the sizing. We can install it quick, and you know that, Stephen, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think what I would say to that in terms of the retrofitting of this into barges and systems that are already out there is the component parts of the Fjord Maritime system are all much smaller than the generator that you would otherwise have in there. So anywhere where they've got a barge where you can get a generator out, then you can get this hybrid system in. It's really easy to do that. And in terms of fitting it into the barge itself, essentially where you've got the power coming out of the generator that would go into the distribution system, it comes out the generator and goes into the Fjord system, and then from there into your distribution system. So it's very easy to retrofit. And certainly with our interaction that we've had with Fjord so far, the professionalism, the clarity in terms of information that we've had for them, and the training that Fjord have actually given our team to be able to do this on barges in Scotland has been pretty exceptional, to be honest. So I certainly have got a lot of confidence that the system speaks for itself in terms of the savings that it brings, and Fjord have got over 100 barges in Norway where they have this system and they can demonstrate physical down to the litre savings in diesel that they've made. And
that's actually a very important part, because with the Fjord Hybrid we also have the Fjord Control system. We monitorize all our installation 24/7. So we have a team sitting and watching all our installation and could then respond on alarms in an early stage, so you can be proactive if there's any problem with it. We also provide our customers reports monthly of exact diesel consumption, exact how much greenhouse gases you actually have reduced, and so on. So the data we are turning into knowledge and using it wisely. So we won't just install the Fjord Hybrid and run. We will be there for a long time, optimizing and going forward on it.
Yeah, so you can use some of that information, almost like the information you get from your smart meter, to change how you operate the barge to maximise the savings that you have from the system.
Definitely. Yeah. It's very exciting. Many of our customers in Norway, they have several barges. The first installation we did was in 2018. And what they are now doing, they are benchmarking the barges to see could we achieve lower impact on the power supply, the last production, than we did this year. So you can benchmark it and you can start competition within the barges to try to produce the fish most energy efficient. Yeah.
So I think one of the big things with hybrid systems that we've seen over the years has been the capital cost up front and what the return of investment might be. And certainly when we've been trying to look at hybrid systems over the last few years, that has been one of the big questions. I'm going to pay out all this money, when am I going to get my return of investment? Can you tell us a little bit about that and the experiences you've had?
Yes, it's a good investment because as everybody knows, all the fuel prices are increasing fast. The energy prices are going rocket high. And regarding to the question of the return of investment on our products, we have, if you pay 90 cents for a liter of diesel, the return of investment is approximately 2.8 years. We know now the prices have doubled, so then the ROA is going down again. So the costs or the savings you have with installing a Fjord Hybrid is really, really good. But the most important thing isn't, for me it's not the most important thing. The most important thing is that we're reducing the greenhouse gases, which is essential for us. Yeah. And it's a system that is proven, it works. And as I said earlier, you have the approximately 50% reduction. That's the Paris Agreement within 2030. We are ready to install, together with Gael, together with all the fish farmers in Scotland, to start it off. Yeah,
no, it's certainly the environmental impact thing is something that we all have to be working towards. We know that, and the return of investment speaks for itself as well. I suppose the next question I think that most people would say is, okay, we've got an ROI of 2.5 years, and that's reducing down at the moment. How long will this equipment last for?
It's a really good question. There's no budget. The lifetime of the batteries is 8 to 10 years. But that's based on the figures we have now. There hasn't been a hybrid system running from 8 to 10 years yet. And that's the important thing that you need to do when the Fjord Hybrid is installed. You have to go in and optimize, because then you will win the life of the batteries, the life of the system, and so on and so on. So energy optimization after installing the hybrid is essential, and we deliver that, and you can reduce it by 10 to 30%.
Yeah.